am so fucking firm in my belief that the sequel trilogy will not have the same revisionists that the prequels did, because I feel like people don't understand why the prequels had revisionists. So shout out Ethan on everything he talked about this recently, but I want to build off it because it's so true. You need to understand why the prequels got like re-looked upon as like, you know, actually not that bad. First of all, it started off as Revenge of the Sith revisionists. It wasn't the entire prequel trilogy. People started to be like, you know what, Revenge of the Sith is actually not that bad. It's actually a pretty good movie. And a lot of people started to say, it's actually my favorite Star Wars movie. That used to be a very hot take. Now, like, everyone says that. But that used to be like a crazy take, like, literally 7 years ago. Or more like 9 years ago. Damn, 7 years ago was 2019. Holy shit. And slowly with, like, you know, the memes started to become, like, very prevalent. Like, all this stuff started coming. And then it was prequel revisionists. It started off as a massive thing. And this is why I don't think the same thing will happen with the sequels. The Clone Wars show, oh my god, if this show did not exist, the prequels would not have as many revisionists as they do. I'm sorry. This show did so much heavy lifting. If you want to know, like, what Gen Z Star Wars is, it's the Clone Wars show. This came out in the perfect time for, like, all of Gen Z. This show is the reason why Anakin is my favorite Star Wars character. Like, not to dog on Hayden Christensen, I still like him as Anakin, but, dude, like, this was my Anakin. Also created, like, the best female Star Wars character. I don't think that's a hot take. It saved Darth Maul as a character. Darth Maul was a nothing character before the Clone Wars show. I don't care what anybody says. To the point where, like, I genuinely just consider him a Clone Wars original character. But that is the biggest problem with the sequels. The sequels finished 7 fucking years ago, and they've built nothing from this part of like nothing from this era. They have done nothing. What about Star Wars Resistance? Who the fuck is watching this shit? No one watched it. They had, like, this was the laziest ass attempt to try to build out that era. Come on now. The thing too, at least the prequels, as much as, like, you know, like, I can't even lie. I'm not a massive Phantom Menace fan. I'm not a massive Attack of the Clones fan. I think those movies are just okay. But at least the prequels as a whole created a very good building ground for an interesting era that separates it from the original trilogy, which is what the Clone Wars built off of. Sequels had a massive identity problem. They didn't try to do anything that new, so it's not like they even, like, what can you even explore during this era? Which one about The Last Jedi? But, like, Crate is probably the only unique planet that I remember from the sequel. Like Jakku, I remember the name Jakku. That's just Tatooine. Like, what Star Wars movie is this from? Is this Jakku or is it Tatooine? It's neither. It's fucking Saudi Arabia. You can't tell. I don't know. I think Disney, like, I think if they really tried, they could have made this era a little bit more interesting for, like, I would say Gen Alpha. Like, if Gen Alpha had a Clone Wars for the sequels, essentially, I think they would have looked upon those films as a lot better. But they didn't do that. They didn't do any of that shit. Like, I think, honestly, between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, perfect time. Explain all the Palpatine bullshit. Explain all that. Bro, that could have been generational, but they didn't do it, bro. It's been 7 fucking years since Rise of Skywalker came out. They haven't done anything with that era. I think that's a massive fumble.